Today we have another mind-blowing story. This one right here is with an 18-year-old young female in a toxic relationship with a 34-year-old male that ended up deadly after she caught him cheating on her. This is why I say we must overcome this spiritual battle, because sometimes our emotions can get the best of us and it can end up in a tragic situation that we can't overturn most times. Let's check the story out.
This is the story of Shamia Allen, a bright and ambitious 18-year-old whose life was tragically cut short. As a devoted mother, Shamia had dreams for herself and her young son. But behind closed doors, she was entangled in a toxic relationship with a man 15 years her senior, Brian Jackson. What started as love spiraled into a storm of manipulation, control, and heartbreak. On the night of January 29, 2025, emotions ran high as Shamia broke into Brian's home, armed and desperate. The police arrived, but before they could intervene, a single gunshot shattered the night. Was this a tragic act of desperation, or had the psychological torment pushed her to the edge? And why was Brian so quick to control the narrative, even posting on her behalf after her death? A mother grieves, a community demands answers, and the truth remains tangled in controversy. What really happened to Shamia Allen? Welcome to Viral Crime.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes our emotions can get the best of us and it could lead to something that most times we can't overturn. Just in a split second, people's lives could be changed forever. This is why we gotta be mindful and understand that this is a spiritual battle. For real. Let's live with unconditional love and more integrity. She was an 18-year-old girl. What could she possibly be doing with a 34-year-old man? Let's figure this thing out.
To Anderson, Indiana, a small city with a deep-rooted sense of community. Anderson is a place where people tend to know their neighbors. Despite its charm, Anderson, like many other cities, has its struggles, including issues of crime, poverty, and domestic violence. In this backdrop, a tragic story unfolds, one that has left the community in shock and mourning. Shamia Allen was born on February 14, 2006, to Danielle Pearson and Tracy Allen. From the moment she entered the world, she was a fighter.
Out here dusty, ayy, let me pop my shit, yeah, let me pop my shit, yeah.
She grew up in Anderson, Indiana, surrounded by a large and loving family, including her 8 siblings. Shamia was a young mother to her son whom she loved deeply. He was her world, and everything she did was with him in mind. She was also expecting another child, a baby girl, at the time of her passing. Despite the
18.
challenges she faced in life, she was a hardworking young woman. She held multiple jobs, including working at Olive Garden and pursuing a passion for tattoo artistry. Her work as a tattoo artist was something she took pride in, and she was known for her creative and artistic touch. More than anything, Shamia was full of life. She was funny, energetic, and had an infectious spirit that drew people to her. Those who knew her described her as strong-willed, determined, and incredibly loyal. She had a big heart and would do anything for the people she loved.
Hey y'all, so today I'm making my man some stuffed salmon with some rice. This is his most requested meal. He loves salmon. And I'll be trying to make it different ways for him. I have tried fried salmon, of course regular seared salmon,
Like
and this is my second time doing the stuffed salmon. Yeah, this shit is fire, so I recommend you to make this for your man, boo.
At times, she could be stubborn, but that was because she cared deeply and felt everything with intensity. Her mother, Danielle, remembered her as a sweet but fierce young woman. She had big dreams and was willing to work for them. She believed in love and fought for it with everything she had. Shamia Allen's life was entangled with 34-year-old Brian Jackson, a man almost 15 years her senior and the father of her infant son and unborn daughter.
The doctor was astonished to find that the bumps were actually unusual growths after the surgery when the bandages were removed.
Their relationship was far from a fairy tale. What began as affection and devotion soon spiraled into a toxic cycle of control, manipulation, and emotional turmoil. Brian, a well-known tattoo artist, was not only her partner, but also played a role in shaping her aspirations. For nearly 2 years, Shamia stood by Brian, choosing him over everything, even when their relationship became a battlefield. He provided for her, encouraged her dreams, and was a constant presence in her life, but behind closed doors, things were different. Brian, much older and more experienced, held power in ways that went beyond love. His influence shaped her, disciplined her, and kept her tethered to him. Their relationship was marred by chaos. Police reports and social media accounts painted a disturbing picture of break-ins, fights, and threats. Shamia's actions showed desperation. She was arrested for domestic battery and criminal mischief just weeks before her death. Meanwhile, Brian had moved on to a new relationship with another woman who was also pregnant at the time.
Oh
Shamia's
my
family
goodness.
believed she was manipulated, driven to a breaking point by the man she once loved. Her mother, Danielle, described her daughter as a young girl who had endured too much too soon, trapped in a toxic bond with Brian. While Brian publicly mourned her loss, many in the community saw his words as performative, accusing him of emotional abuse and betrayal. The crime that took the life of Shamia Allen unfolded in the early emotional abuse and betrayal.
Don't make any sense. So he was just knocking up different sets of women, and I hope that other girl wasn't young as well, cause she was only 18 years old, 19 years old, and she's about to have two children. And to be with a man that could have been almost her father, the age of her father, is crazy. So of course she gonna be able to manipulate. He gonna be able to manipulate her into living how he want her to live. But then just to throw her on the curb after that, that's just toxic for real. You know what I'm saying? I don't, but I mean, if anything, at the end of the day, I'm not saying that she's a saint in this, but she's still a child. So I feel like he took advantage of her for real, for real.
The crime that took the life of Shamia Allen unfolded in the early hours of January 30, 2025, in Anderson, Indiana. It was a tragic ending to an already chaotic and toxic relationship between Shamia and Brian Jackson, a relationship marred by control, emotional abuse, and violence. Earlier that night, Shamia broke into Brian's residence on Lincoln Street. Witnesses later reported that she was armed and in a state of emotional distress. According to Brian's own account, she had already attempted to break into the house before, attacking his new girlfriend, who was pregnant as well. This time, however, Shamia wasn't just breaking in, she was reportedly seeking revenge. At around 3 a.m., Brian was jolted awake by the sound of shattering glass. When he turned on the lights, he saw Shamia inside his home, gun in hand, yelling at him. She accused him of betraying her, of calling the police on her again, which led to her arrest weeks earlier. She blamed him for keeping her away from their son, for choosing another woman while she was carrying his child. Her pain and rage erupted in threats, shouting that he was going to die that night. Brian claimed that he was trying to de-escalate the situation, but things quickly turned violent. According to his social media posts, Shamia was desperate and irrational. The situation worsened when she attempted to enter the garage through a broken window, cutting herself on the shards of glass in the process. Just as Brian thought he might be able to get help, police officers arrived at the scene, responding to the break-in. Officers secured Brian and his girlfriend while searching the home. As they moved through the residence, a single gunshot rang out. Brian tried to rush back inside, but an officer grabbed him, restraining him. Another officer, entering from the front, turned and ran toward the back of the house, eventually kicking in the door to find Shamia alone, suffering from a gunshot wound to the head. The police later
Wow.
determined that the gunshot was self-inflicted. At just 18 years old, it was reported that Shamia Allen took her own life in the home of the man who had tormented her, the man she had loved, fought for, and ultimately lost herself to. News reports covered the incident heavily. The Anderson Police Department released an official statement confirming that Shamia had broken into Brian's home and had been found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Body camera footage was reportedly reviewed, and the police did not charge Brian with any crime, stating that the officers were present when the fatal shot was fired. However, in the days that followed, the community erupted in outrage. Social media posts, interviews, and online discussions painted a very different picture of Brian. Many accused him of grooming and manipulating Shamia, pointing to the fact that he was 15 years older than her. They called out his past actions, his alleged abuse, and the way he used social media to paint himself as the victim. After Shamia's passing, Brian took to social media multiple times, posting lengthy messages about the situation. He expressed his frustration, sadness, and anger at how people were blaming him for her death. One of his most notable posts started with "Man, F all y'all for real, and that's on my dead baby." He described in detail what happened the night of her death, claiming that he had been woken up at 3 a.m. by Shamia breaking into his home again. Brian also defended himself against allegations of abuse and manipulation. He said he was now receiving death threats, his house was being attacked, and people were blaming him unjustly. He ended the post expressing his grief and frustration, saying he couldn't even properly mourn her loss because of how he was being treated. Brian continued to share messages about Shamia in many other posts. On February 14, 2025, which would have been her 19th birthday, he took to social media once again, sharing an emotional post about her. He said that if she were still alive, she wouldn't want him to spend the day feeling down. Instead, she would expect him to celebrate her. He expressed gratitude to those who had supported him through the aftermath of her death, thanking them for their kind words, prayers, and encouragement. At the same time, he acknowledged the backlash he had been receiving, stating that he had seen the negative comments as well, but was no longer interested in defending himself. According to him, people would believe whatever they wanted, but he, Shamia, and the ones who truly knew the situation understood the truth. He ended the post by honoring her memory, referring to her as his baby girl. This post included pictures of him with Shamia and their baby. The post also included screenshots of supportive comments from others. However, many people in the comment section were upset and accused Brian of manipulating the situation to garner sympathy. A Facebook group titled "Exposing the Pedo Brian Jackson."
In the state's eyes, she legal, pretty much, right? In the government eyes, she legal, but she still was too young, for real. I believe she's still too young, and I felt like she probably was manipulated, and he can't take all the blame for her, taking her own life. We got to go back to the parents as well. Who raised her? You get what I'm saying? At the end of the day, where was her mother? Where was her father to at least protect her from, if they calling him, the names that they're calling him, protect her from the streets, protect her from dudes like that, get her prepared for society. You get what I'm saying? You can't just put all the blame on that man. You get me? What he did wasn't right. I'm not picking sides. I'm only just saying what's right. I'm saying I'm only telling the truth, my truth. We're not gonna pick sides here. What's wrong is wrong. He ended up getting another girl pregnant while she was pregnant, while they had a baby already. Moved her in, did all these things, groomed her, and then left her high and dry. That's corny. It's real corny. But if she was raised right and she was protected from her family, she would have known how to deal with those type of situations. Because all I seen in this whole thing was she wasn't very emotional intelligent. She didn't know how to handle a breakup or handle evil people in this world. Because a lot of people's hearts are evil, man. A lot of people in this world are evil, man, for real. Their hearts are cold and they don't care about nobody but themselves. Most people on this earth care about their own personal gain. And it's sad. But my heart goes out to her and her family. And killing yourself is never a good thing. Ending your own life. Hopefully God have mercy on her soul. And yeah, I told y'all, we have to live with love, and we have to understand it's a spiritual battle. We have to overcome all these emotions that we have. Because I'm telling you, getting into your emotions in a situation could lead to a tragic ending. I promise you. We have to work on ourselves every day. And come on, men, we could do better. We don't have to date no young girl, 15 years older. What do you think? You know that he wasn't really taking that young lady serious, and then you impregnate her. Come on, man. Come on. We can do better than that. We definitely can do better than that. But if y'all like this story, man, drop a comment below. Hit that sub button if you haven't hit the sub button already. And I appreciate everybody that's been following my channel, that's been subscribing to my channel. And Let me know what y'all want me to react to next. Until next time, y'all stay blessed and stay safe out there. And understand, we all must overcome and live with love. Peace.